Well, my name is T.L. Keller. I'm a former aerospace engineer. I was once, years ago, a computer systems analyst at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California. Following that, I worked in a number of other aerospace companies, including L3 Communications, BAE Systems, which is formerly called British Aerospace, and smaller companies called Space Launch Corporation and others. I have been for some time involved as an author and speaker at a number of UFO conferences. I've also had a chance to speak for the AIAA, the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. I spoke at the Nuclear Museum in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm also the author of a space station construction simulation, which was called Space Max. This was a software product that was made available in the late 80s and was used not only as an entertainment product at the retail sales level, but also at the Air Force Academy to teach cadets about space systems management. It was also used at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, as well as a number of other colleges and universities. What I've been doing lately is that I published this series of books actually, called The Novice's Guide to UFOs, and more recently, The Novice's Guide to the Secret Space Program. And these are basically 500 pages, printed in full color. They're available both digitally and in print. You can get them from Amazon or iTunes. And basically, the idea is to introduce new people to the UFO community, as well as documents that can be used by more advanced individuals who have been studying this for some time. Well, I've had a chance to do a great deal of field work, and it's one thing to watch videos at home. It's something else to read books like this, but it's quite something else to go out in the field and observe what you can. I've had an opportunity to spend a number of field trips, probably a dozen and a half, out to Area 51 and just outside of the facility that's known as S4. I've been to Roswell, Alamogordo, Los Alamos National Laboratories. 4 years ago, I had a chance to visit in southern Poland the site of the experiment called the Bell or Die Glocke, which was an anti-gravity experiment performed by the Nazi SS. And I also had a chance, for example, to go to the UK, where a rather important landing took place in the east side of the UK some years ago. As far as UFOs are concerned, I am under the belief that most of them that are seen are man-made. They're man-made because I've had a variety of opportunities to listen to people who have been on the inside, such as the late Ben Rich of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. I had a chance to talk to who was called Dr. Stealth of Northrop Grumman and others. But most of them, I believe, are actually built in the U.S. Most people need to know that a principal location for the design and development for these are in the Antelope Valley in Southern California. This is just outside of Los Angeles. It's about an hour and a half away north on the 14 freeway. And it's the location of the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, the Northrop Grumman facility called the Ant Hill, and the Lockheed Martin facility in Hellendale. These are basically, many of these are underground facilities where research and development is being done. I used to live in Lancaster, California, as well as Palmdale, and we had occasionally reports of large triangular shaped craft that would fly over Lancaster heading towards Edwards Air Force Base that were something on the order of maybe 600 feet on each side. And they would fly low and slow, and they would literally block out the stars at night. Well, this is more of a matter of conjecture on my part. I wasn't in, I did live in Europe at that time, although I've had a number of years living there, but you're talking about the ones that were flying over Belgium, I believe.
Yeah, and also over Bulgaria.
Oh, Bulgaria too.
Yeah, I have two witnesses who saw it.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Well, I will tell you this. When I first heard about these large flying triangles, sometimes they're called TR-3Bs. I assumed that they were extraterrestrial, just because of their performance.
Okay.
Being able to hover, travel very slowly at
no sounds,
just like at a walking speed, no sounds.
Right.
And then once they were being chased by the F-16s of the Belgian Air Force, they would just instantly take off. But to answer your question, yes, I believe some of them are extraterrestrial. I was just talking to a gentleman who visited my table. We're at the International UFO Conference in Scottsdale, Arizona. And a gentleman walked up and did not introduce himself. And I went through my normal talk about selling this book, and as it turned out, he described an experience that he had back in 1958. He was a technician at the north side of Edwards Air Force Base, and he had a very high, security rating. And he was working on other projects such as the X-15 at the time. And he started talking about an experience that he had. He was sent out to a hangar at the north base of Edwards Air Force Base. This is the north side of the base. And he was allowed to, because of his clearance, he was allowed to proceed into a hangar there where some electronic equipment needed to be worked on. And he said that he saw an extraterrestrial craft, a relatively small one, and that they showed him a photograph of an two deceased extraterrestrial beings. And I have every reason to believe that this was truly an extraterrestrial craft and not one that was built by one of the American aerospace companies. Now, this gentleman later, after a long dissertation about his experiences there and elsewhere, he told me his last name was Green. And it occurred to me that this just might be the gentleman called George Green, who was reported by Linda Moulton Howe years ago. And she reported that he, at the time, in 1989, he sent a letter to Linda Moulton Howe, and she called it the George Green letter. And this gentleman his name was George Green because I saw his card and immediately realized that this was the George Green that Linda Moulton Howe had been contacted a number of years ago. And in my book, the Total Novice's Guide to UFOs, in the appendix, I happen to have the very letter that George Green sent to Linda Moulton Howe years ago. Needless to say, this gentleman that I'm speaking about was very surprised to see his letter reproduced, but it was obviously the same person that experienced this in 1958. So I hope that that explains a little bit about extraterrestrial craft, because some of them are from beyond Earth. Now, yesterday I lectured on the subject of spacecraft carriers, and there is a Bulgarian UFO researcher by the name of Vladimir Terziski. Are you familiar with that name?
No.
All right. Okay. Well, decades ago, I had a chance to listen to him lecture, and he lectured on the Nazi SS experiments involving the flying saucer program. And frankly, at the time, I discounted it, to be honest, because it seemed so bizarre that they could have possibly even prototyped a flying saucer or flying disc in the 30s and the 40s. But now I realize that there is a lot more truth to this than I ever thought. And so I have to confess that my mind has been totally changed because I had a chance to visit in southern Poland the very location where Die Glocke program was conducted. That's the one dealing with the bell. And the bell, for those of you who do not know it, the bell was an experiment in anti-gravity. And it was performed in a mine called the Wenceslas mine in southern Poland. And I had to go see it to actually believe that there was anything that ever took place there dealing with Nazi technology. And what I realized was when I got there that every basic element that I had heard in the past was there. There was the mine, there was the control room, there were electrical cables about 3.5 to 4 inches in diameter in a series of tunnels. There was also a very good sized power plant within about 300 meters from where the control room was located. And this was the power plant that supplied the high voltage power for the experiment. And so that power plant was physically there. It had been bombed out during the war by either the RAF or American bombers or both, but it was obviously a power plant. There was also what is called the fly trap or the henge, which is a steel and concrete circular structure where allegedly the bell was also used in an experiment to evaluate its anti-gravity capability. Now, I have to say at this point that this henge, which is a circular, sort of like Stonehenge in many ways, is built out of concrete and steel and had a rather unusual drainage system under it. I have to say that they use the same structural design as used in German cooling towers during that period of time. But the diameter of this was very large. I don't remember exactly the diameter of it, but it was larger than possibly most of the cooling towers of that era. But they used exactly the same type of design. So my sense is that this was actually performed there. Now, as a coincidence, purely coincidence, I was camping in the area of the site where this experiment was conducted. And when I went out to dinner, I was sitting at a restaurant, speaking English. Of course, I didn't speak Polish, but some 3 local people heard me speaking English, and they asked me why I was there. And to not give them any sense of my purpose, I just said I was a tourist in the area, just looking around. One of them happened to be an IT engineer, spoke very good English, and he said what I should do is inspect some of the many mines and caverns that had been dug out by slave labor during World War II. And he said, this place is very famous because there was a German SS experiment conducted right here during the early parts of 1945. And he said he had a very old, elderly German friend who claimed to have worked on that experiment at the time. And the friend told him it was absolutely true, and the experiment dealt with anti-gravity, and it was successful. Now, I didn't coerce this out of this IT engineer at all. He just offered this information. Little did he know that I was a UFO researcher in the area specifically to investigate the Bell experiment.
Okay, you mentioned yesterday that you've been in Bulgaria in 1964.
96, that's right.
And what you doing at that time?
I was passing through.
Be honest.
I'll be honest. Okay, my wife and I were on a 3-month tour of Europe, and we wanted to get down to Turkey, and we came down through Romania. We got to Constanza, right? So these are names that I haven't talked about for a long time.
Right.
And to be absolutely honest, you said be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, the automobile insurance that we were carrying on this Volkswagen camper, a Westphalia. Okay, if you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Okay, it's about with a VW camper. The insurance did not cover driving in Bulgaria.
Wow.
Okay? And that was one of the few exceptions at that time. This is 1964.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Well, things were obviously different then.
Okay.
But it did not cover any collisions or road damage or theft or anything. So all we did is just drive as fast as we could from you asked for the truth, from Romania down to Turkey.
Yeah, right.
As fast as we could. We didn't want to have any accidents or anything.
Yeah.
We drove during the day rather than at night.
Actually, in 1964, I don't believe in Bulgaria have too much cars.
Well, there probably weren't, but we didn't want to take any chances. We had never been there before.
Yeah, okay.
But no, we had a...
Have you heard something about UFO in Bulgaria in this?
Of course.
What do you know? Because I don't know too much.
I don't know too much either.
But what do you know?
Only from what you told me, that there was one of these large flying triangles that have been observed in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
But most of the flying triangle reports that I have heard were either in Belgium or New York, the state of New York. When I was living in Lancaster, I think I explained that there was one...
You can drink your water. Don't worry.
There was one observation of a large triangular craft heading towards Edwards Air Force Base. But the report said that people could look up and see words in English. So I don't think it was extraterrestrial.
Okay.
But it blacked out the entire... all of the stars as it was passing over.
My cousin, she watched that. I mean, she was in her summer house, and because she have a bad sleeping during the night, so she wake up maybe 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. and she just walk from the house, in the country house, and it's that house is locating the end of this country. So it's open, and she said, I watched the sky and was clear, I mean, beautiful stars. And then she said, and I heard the dogs from neighborhood start barking a lot. I mean, something made them to bark. And she said, and I saw a very weird object in the sky. I mean, she don't know that it's a UFO. And when I asked her how it looks and details about that, she said it's triangle with 3 lights and the
in each corner.
Yeah.
Every corner. Yes.
Yes, and she said fly very slowly. No, I asked for any noises. She said no noises, just I mean very slow is moving, and I saw that this is a solid object. And during this flying by this area, the dogs barking. I mean they was crazy with that. Maybe that object made them to, because the the animals is very sensitive.
Of course,
and,
of course.
Yeah, and
now,
yeah.
I might add that, and this, I can't substantiate this, but some people have reported that the propulsion system of these TR-3B flying triangles is based upon mercury plasma. And it's rotated at very high speed and under high temperature and pressure. And when these conditions are right, they form some kind of a very unusual ionic effect.
Okay.
Now, the point being here is, this had to do with mercury. A plasma is a high temperature ionic gas. But the Bell experiment that was conducted in Germany in 1945 had to do with what's called red mercury. Now, red mercury it's a compound of mercury. The point being is that not only the TR-3B and the Bell operated with mercury, what is called the alien reproduction vehicle, which was first seen by a citizen, simple citizen without any security. The alien reproduction vehicle also operated on mercury vapor under high temperature and pressure. So apparently at those conditions, some very unusual events take place, unusual effects. And what I'm trying to suggest is it has not only an anti-gravity effect, but also modifies space-time in the immediate environment of this particular craft. So I think mercury seems to be consistent as one type of anti-gravity propulsion.
Okay. Why these extraterrestrial beings visit us? What they want to tell us?
Well, my sense is that there are not just one type of extraterrestrial
being,
57 that are, well, actually,
or more.
57 is a very interesting number. In the United States, that's all. There was something called Heinz 57. Okay, and Heinz Food Company manufactured 57 different types of soups. Okay.
Okay.
So now I know exactly what you're referring to.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he claimed that there were 57 different extraterrestrial races.
Sergeant Clifford Stone, maybe, or Sergeant Clifford Stone.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes, this was Technical Sergeant Clifford Stone, and he was said that he was a member of a U.S. Army crash retrieval crew. I think probably going back to the 50s. Actually, within my book, I covered that particular case.
Which case?
The Clifford Stone reports.
Yeah, but
he didn't mention any specific. I'm sorry, case, but he mentioned as in a general sense of the cases that he worked on.
Oh, okay.
But he was occasionally called away from his work, and he was basically part of a crash retrieval team,
Right.
where he recovered not only the extraterrestrial craft, but also
any other
extraterrestrial beings
Yeah.
and any other
Yeah.
technical technology that he could find.
Yeah, right.
What I was going to mention is that within this book, we cover most of the different types of extraterrestrial beings. I'm not sure if you can get a good photograph of that. This particular book is 500 pages and it's in full color. Many of these illustrations are courtesy of Linda Moulton Howe and other individuals who have made their own drawings of beings that they experienced. And I want to point out one particular drawing. This is in reference to George Green, who I just interviewed an hour ago. And I asked George Green to look at these various drawings and tell me which of these beings he saw photographs of. And he advised me that he saw a photograph of two deceased extraterrestrial beings, and the one that is shown here is the one that he saw in the photograph. And this is the one that sometimes is identified with the crash in Aztec, New Mexico. Now, I don't know that the ET craft that he saw in the hangar at Edwards Air Force Base was from Aztec. I somewhat doubt it, but nevertheless, this is the same type of being that he saw in the photographs.
Okay, why they visit us?
Oh, okay. Well, let me look in my book, and I will tell you. I will. I'm not actually joking.
Yeah.
There is a chapter in here, if I can find it, where we answer exactly that question. The question is why are they here?
Yeah.
Let me.
It looks like they've been here for many years. Even before humanity.
I would suggest that they've been here for well over thousands and thousands of years. Different beings coming at different times. Some of them may never have left, and that's just the sense of it. Okay, here's my chapter 35, and the question is the same one that Ivan just asked me. Why are they here?
Why are they here?
Okay. And there are 10 reasons that I could think of as to why they're here. Most people are familiar with Star Trek.
Okay.
And Star Trek, one of its main missions is scientific exploration and discovery. And that is certainly one of the reasons. I think another reason is that they may be here for the evaluation of Earth's development. A third reason, and this goes back to a film called Alien Nation and District 9. I don't know if you're familiar with that in Bulgaria.
No.
But these films were on the reason for being here as a sanctuary, a place of sanctuary. In other words, they were trying to escape, for whatever reason, the conditions on their own planet and come here. To be safe, essentially. Following on that, I have a reason that what might be called altruism. They are simply here. Some of them are simply here to help us.